Okay. Hello. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WhickTV. Can you all hear me? Am I live? Am I working? Is this thing on? I don't even know. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm live just about 5 minutes early. We're still waiting on my guest of honor this week to show up. But you know what? I'm sitting here. Everything's ready to go. I got my drink. I got some snacks. I'm good. And I was like, you know what? Why not hit that live button and say hi to the early birds. If they happen to be here. What's everyone up to today? How are you guys? How has your week been so far? It's Tuesday. Okay. Testy Johnson says, I am the greatest. Oh, fair enough. You are the first. That's for sure. Welcome to the show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to do call-ins, of course, once Madam Genevieve gets here. But, gang, I have some... excuse me. I got some thoughts, okay, on a few things. So, for those of you who don't know, the UN released a special report yesterday, maybe the day before. But in that report, they detailed their investigation of the alleged sexual violence that occurred on October 7th. It's a fairly short report. It's about 23 pages. There's 90 or so bullet points that they kind of go through. They talk about their methodology. They talked about the limitations of their findings, the limitations of their work. But they also go through and really highlight some of the atrocities that were committed on October 7th by Hamas. And the ongoing, one of the more, I don't want to say interesting, that's not the word here, but one of the more unfortunate findings of the report is how there is not just credible evidence, and they detail there's a scale of the amount of believability or the amount of assuredness they have based on based on the terminology they used. But they use one of their stronger terminologies in this, and that's why I'm bringing this up, to indicate that the hostages have been victims of sexual violence and are likely ongoing victims of sexual violence. So the hostages, according to the UN, and which is no friend of Israel, to be clear, right? According to the UN, the hostages that have been taken by Hamas are currently being victimized, or likely to be currently being victimized through sexual assault and sexual violence. It's a lot. It's a lot. Now, we've already had this information, right? Like, this information isn't exactly new, but the fact that the UN report has corroborated most of it is pretty telling. I think it's important to understand, right, just how the full scope of what happened on October 7th, because there's been a lot of people who've ran cover for this, right? Kane says, come on, Wick, if you were going to have the community be called Wickers, then at least address this as such when you start stream. Who needs this lords and ladies stuff? You know who's going to be at the start of the stream. Okay. Well, you know what? I use different terminology based on my mood. Okay. So that's all it is. Tessie Johnson says, not to be that guy, but wasn't the UN constantly shit on for being biased against Israel and dismissed for how, based on previous resolutions, but now it's credible? I mean, I agree it's credible, but it seems like cherry picking a bit. Well, I think that when a institution that is traditionally biased against you agrees with you, I think that is even stronger evidence that this is a credible thing, right? They have every incentive in the world, and they have done this before, where they have just dismissed Israelis' claims outright and just kind of been very biased against Israel. So the fact that, I'll tell you what, to explain it in streamer terms, it would be like if 𝕵𝖎𝖎 suddenly went to bat for Destiny on an issue, right? It lends credence to the fact that on that issue, Destiny would just be correct, right? Because normally 𝕵𝖎𝖎 and Destiny hate each other and they would fight, right? But this would be at least more evidence that that person was correct. And our guest of honor is here. Let me bring them up. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Not too much. What's going on with you? Let me get a camera going on here.
Take your time. Take your time. We are live, by the way, so no slurs. The time for slurs is yeah.
It's past. It's over.
True.
I'm too late. How are you?
Oh, I am doing well, but we're just starting the stream. There's still time for things to go terribly wrong. But you are here now, and it's been a while, and I'm glad to see you. How you been? What's been
Gosh, it has been a long time. I've been good. I've been wrapped up in real life stuff. I've just been busy with offline things, I suppose. But I'm really glad to be back, and I've been missing it. So thank you for inviting me today.
Of course, we're glad to have you back. Originally I reached out to you because I wanted you on my panel tomorrow, but then I thought, you know what? I also want to kind of catch up with you, right? And I don't think a panel's a great venue for catching up because we'd have a topic to talk about that. But I wanted to kind of just talk about like all the grass touching you've done, and also provide an opportunity for my audience, right, to call in, talk to you as well, maybe ask some questions and things like that. So since it has been a while, right, and my audience today may not have been the audience that saw you before, could you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do? Yeah, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So I am Madam Genevieve, and I am a online and IRL sex worker as well as sex educator. I also manage an adult store here in Las Vegas, so I get to do a lot of cool training um, and community outreach with that. I have been streaming casually for I guess it's been about 2 years now, thanks to this guy right here, Wick, had me on my very first ever panel. So it's cool to be back here. I always appreciate spending time with him and his audience. I do have my own Twitch channel and YouTube channel. You can find all of my channels, all my links through my Twitter, X. I know I'm terrible at updating to that new terminology.
I still call it Twitter. It's okay. Everyone still calls it Twitter.
Does, right? If I say Twitter, I mean, that's clearly what I'm talking about. So it's Madam_Genevieve, and that has all my links there if you want to check out any of my other stuff.
Yeah, gang, go check her out. That will be great. But for now, stick with us, gang. And if you have questions, right, or just want to talk to us about anything, there's a way to do that. And let me give you the instructions, and then we'll just kind of get into it because there's a few things we can talk about today. So if you want to call in, exclamation point Discord and chat, or I'll provide the link in the YouTube. You click that link, okay? And then you're going to accept the rules. There'll be a rules page, and you'll see my emoji face. You click that to react to the rules, and then you jump backstage. And once you're backstage, we'll pull you in. We'll talk to you. It'll be a great time. You can talk to us about literally whatever you like. Try to be respectful, right? But if you have beef with me, or if you have, I don't know, beef with Madam Genevieve for some reason, feel free. Right, feel free. So let me give you guys those links, and then we'll kind of get into it. I guess, first of all, is there anything that's been on your mind, Madam Genevieve, that you want to kind of like pontificate on for a minute?
Ooh. Wow. I feel a bit put on the spot by that. I should have come prepared. I didn't have anything to get off my chest, actually. I just came ready for other people's questions and also to, just hang out with you, which is always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
have anything you need to get off your chest?
man, there's so much. There's so much. And I don't want to like just rant for the whole time.
Fair. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah. I will say, because maybe it'll spark discussion. Okay. Uh, did you guys see the UN report that just dropped? Are you familiar with that on the October 7th stuff?
So I read some headlines and like clips. I haven't delved fully into it. I had a work emergency last night that kept me out till about 4 a.m. So
Oh
this
no, what
morning
happened?
I one of my coworkers unfortunately got in a car accident. He is okay, but he was scheduled to close the store and he obviously wasn't able to go in, so I had to take over and it just, we close at 4 a.m. So it makes for a very late night, but I'm glad he's okay and I'm glad I was still able to do this. But I didn't get to prepare a whole lot in like reading much this morning because I was just sleeping in.
No, it's
Full
fine.
disclosure.
We're getting the raw and uncut, like off the cuff, no pre-plan, no
Mhm.
pre-watch. Madam Genevieve's just coming in straight off the dome for the base takes. So I guess I know you're familiar with the headlines and such. Um, I have read it, the whole 23 pages. It's not terribly long, to be clear. Um, I have also read a lot of the people's responses to it, and that has, for lack of a better word, infuriated me in a real way. I understand that Israel are not the good guys in a lot of ways. They've done some fucked up shit, terrible things.
Mhm.
That said,
Mhm.
I don't think we need to run cover for rapists in order to get at Israel. I don't think we need to do that. We can simply say, hey, there's more than one bad guy in this area, right? There's more than one bad actor that's doing bad shit. It was fairly clear through reading the report that while, again, not every single story could be corroborated, there were plenty that could.
Mhm.
I believe they mentioned three main kind of vectors for locations, if you will, for where these assaults took place. The Nova Festival, one of the kibbutz, and there was one more that names escape me at the moment. But they go through, the hostages as well, right? And they go through and they kind of again give a rough outline of their findings and their conclusions. And if you don't mind, I'll just read the conclusion just for my audience real quick, because I think it bears hearing. Okay. Um, One second. So conclusions. Point 84. It's on the 21st page if you're following along, okay? It says overall, based on the totality of information gathered from multiple and independent sources at the different locations, there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred at several locations across the Gaza periphery, including in the form of rape and gang rape during the 7th October 2023 attacks. Credible circumstantial information, which may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including genital mutilation, sexualized torture, or cruel and inhuman and degrading treatment, was also gathered. With regards to the hostages, the mission team found clear and convincing information that some hostages taken to Gaza have been subjected to various forms of conflict related sexual violence and has reasonable grounds to believe that such violence may be ongoing. What are your I know this is super heavy, okay? I get it. I'm sorry to just like dump this all on you, but it's
No,
it's
no
on my
worries.
fucking
I
mind,
mean,
right?
it's yeah, it's real. It's happening and it's horrific. I think to your point that's it's super valid that it's not that one side can be 100% bad or 100% good, right? Like there is a little bit of nuance on whichever side that you support, but I would like to think I would hope, and unfortunately it's not the case, that we would all agree that something like this is absolutely horrific and unacceptable. There should never be sexual violence, genital mutilation used as a military tactic, and unfortunately, for almost as long as humans have had civilizations, that has been a tactic, and it's just absolutely abhorrent. And I I know that we can do better as a
Yeah.
whole, as a
Yeah.
human species. Um, and it's really unfortunate that that's still happening.
It is, and, again, I when it happened, like, when October 7th happened and in the aftermath, and even after this report, right, there's, like, 3 kinds of reactions. One is the, "Oh god, that's horrible, how could that ever occur?" Right? That's the standard one, most people have that. "This is terrible, this is horrific." Like you said, it shouldn't ever happen. I think that's the normie, like,
Hmm.
take here. The second one is an issue, and it's a problem, is like, oh, it's very Islamophobic, like, oh, those Arabs, right? Like, they just can't control
Hmm.
themselves. There's a lot of that, okay? But I think the most infuriating to me, because it's so um antithetical to what they claim to believe, are the people on the left who are saying, well, you know what, we just have to like feminists, like Judith Butler, right? Like mainstream people, right? Thought leaders are saying things like, it's a resistance group, we can't judge resistance groups, and we should just overlook this kind of stuff, or run cover or downplay of it. Oh yeah, it happened, but we can't talk about it because that really plays into Israel's hands. I find that abhorrent. I find that
Hmm.
disgusting, and I need you all to stop doing that. Gang, if you have a different opinion than me, or you want to talk about it, by the way, please call in. So we're going to rant at you. Me and Madam Genevieve both are going to rant at you until you call in. So please give us a call, right? Jump backstage and talk to us for a little bit, right? Um, I mean, we don't have to talk about that either. Like, there's more, I guess, lighthearted things. Are you familiar with the Sweet Baby Ink stuff going around?
Wow, I am not. Tell me about that.
I wasn't either until an hour ago. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
This is
it's
recent.
well, it's recent for me, right? I think
And
this has
me.
been, happening for a while.
Okay.
So apparently, um, and this is a topic with video games, so a lot of my audience can relate to this. There is it's a writing company based out of Montreal. Um, they work with major game developers and help
Okay.
them with their writing, to diversify their writing, to I guess, if you want to be less charitable, to wokeify their writing. Um,
Okay.
Recently they have been, I guess, exposed, for lack of a better word, that they've been involved with, like, some really famous failures in games, right? Like, so
Okay.
I think some of them are the newest Suicide Squad, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, games that were financial flops, in other words,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Um, and people started recognizing this and pointing it out, and the company basically went, or at least members of the company went into full defense mode. They blocked everyone off. They started accusing everyone of racism and hating diversity, and it's just been kind of a shit show. I know I'm probably explaining this really poorly because I just found out about it.
Sure.
But there, I I guess the question for you is, how important is diversity, quote unquote, in how fun a game may or may not be? Like, does it even matter at all?
I think that for me, when I'm playing a game, and I'm not your average gamer, but I really enjoy character development, just characters that feel whole, cohesive, etc. And so for me, diversity is important in that I want the world to feel realistic and that we have characters diverse reflected in that world, similar to how we have diversity in our world. It feels more immersive to me that way. I also know that it's important for younger people, so like my nephew's generation, to see themselves reflected in games. So having characters that look like them and maybe represent communities that they are a part of. So that's something that my nephew and I kind of we talk about games a lot and we bond over games, and
Nice, nice.
it's cool to see him and his generation feel like they can relate to characters that are diverse as well.
So Can Kane in the Twitch chat here asks, "That's interesting. Do you know if they have also been involved in successful games recently or just flops?" Well, this is where the story gets weird. Okay. Because there has been if you're familiar with Steam at all, you can curate lists of games, right?
Mhm.
So you can be like,
Mhm.
these are action games I like, these are um games with DLC that I don't like, or these are overpriced. Various lists, various reasons.
Okay.
They someone made a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. has been involved with, right? Saying these we know that Sweet Baby has worked with this. Sweet Baby threw a tantrum, tried to get the list taken down, tried to get it like removed. And again, the list is just Sweet Baby games detected, right? Like something like that, right? Um the claim is it's a tool for harassment, but at the same time, like why are you trying to make it secret what games you work on? Like
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
it
Like,
brings questions to my mind. And to
even if
answer
I
your
was involved,
oh,
sorry, even if
just
I
real
was
quick.
involved in a project that
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't proud of, I wouldn't hide it. But sorry, you go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, and just to answer the question, like none of those games are good on the list. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Um
Okay, yeah.
I talked to Short Fat Otaku, Sleepy Dev, right? I talked to him before the stream. He's the one that kind of like gave me the TLDR here. Um
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot here. Let me get it. It's one of the links he gave me. He gave me a lot.
Go ahead and
One
sort
moment.
through your
One moment. Sorry, gang.
list of links. No problem. No problem.
It's
Gonna just keep
always
the
it's always curious, right? If we're gonna have a lot of caller inners, if it's gonna be something where I have to.
Yeah. You never know. Also, I feel like once one person calls in, then the ball starts rolling and you get a whole bunch of other people. We just need someone to kind of
Absolutely,
like break the
we need
ice.
someone to break the seal if they will. So yeah, I linked it in the Twitch chat, and I'm linking it. I'm linking it in the YouTube chat too. You can check it out, and you can see. And yeah, it's Testy. You're always welcome to call in. Please don't feel like, gang. Even if you've called in recently, you can still call in. It's a new day. It's fine, right? I don't
We'd
know.
love to talk at you. Have you talk at us? Any of that? Any of you who are watching?
True. Have you seen Dune 2 yet?
No, no, but I've heard, well, heard good things, and I must say I loved the fashion on the opening nights.
You know what? I'm unfamiliar with the fashion. I have seen there was a video of someone who made a little doohickey. It was basically them riding a sandworm. They kind of modified a
That's
scooter,
so
right? And they
cool.
dressed up as a Fremen,
Yeah.
and they had a like a long
That's
tail, right,
awesome.
of them just riding the sandworm.
I
Uh,
love that.
yeah, no,
I love that. That's cool.
clever
I'm gonna have to
is
look that up later.
clever
Yeah.
as fuck. But I recommend it. I saw it this weekend. 8 out of 10. Really great movie.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
about if it's
Solid
the best
rating.
sci-fi ever. It's not, but it was. I liked the first, and this was better than the first. Let's say that.
Ooh, okay.
But let's get in the first caller. We have one caller,
Mm-hmm.
and let's bring them in and see what they have to say. Hello, you're live.
Hello,
You're
hello.
muted on your end, sir.
Hello.
Hey, what you
Hi.
got?
Hey, so first of all, sorry I can't turn my camera on. I'm calling to you from my car today. And yeah, I mean, I know you were just talking about Sweet Baby Inc. I had some thoughts on that, and then I also wanted to talk on some of your recent panels that you've had.
Go whichever one you'd like to go first. Go ahead.
Um, Starting with Sweet Baby Inc. I have not looked at the list of games that they've been involved in, but make no mistake, the games that I am familiar with, they had a lot of other problems going on. The writing for me is like, okay, one of the bigger issues that they had, but all of those games had a lot of other problems going on with them as well. So it seems to me that the video game industry is suffering from a lot of cuts, a lot of crunches, as they call it. The developers are being asked to do too much in very little time. And in terms of writing, I don't know what's going on that front, but it seems like nobody has the money to invest in writers, so they're hiring consulting companies and pretty bad consulting companies at that. And just video games are being shat on overall from all fronts, not just the writing aspect of it.
Interesting. Thoughts on this, Genevieve?
I think I can probably see where you're coming from. I think I've seen places where there's some skimping, right? Where like we're just companies are not putting in the investment that is needed, and just you could kind of tell with a little bit more, it would probably be really awesome. Um, but The Last of Us 2, I just had a little input from a phone friend here. The Last of Us 2 has been one of the most awesome games, in my opinion, that has come out in recent times. So certainly, like the investment in that one has paid off, and you can see that in the writing and the character development and in all of that. I know maybe that's a little bit of a, I don't know. Some people disagree with that, but I'm a big fan.
Right. And again, I'm not familiar with all the games that Sweet Baby Inc. is involved in, so I stand to be corrected if there are games that the only problem with them was the writing aspect of it. And obviously, I'm not saying that Sweet Baby Inc. is blameless
Sure.
in making those games even worse than they already were. So yeah.
No, I get.
Then
Oh, if I may just weigh on
yeah, please
this,
go ahead.
because I agree with you, right? If it was, look, games can have bad writing, but if you're playing like a shooter, like Helldivers, let's say, right, which is one of my favorite recent games, I don't give a shit about the writing. I'm not there for the writing. I wanna kill bugs or robots and spread managed democracy throughout the universe. That's what I. That's all. That's all I want to do. I don't care about the writer. Like as long as there's cool lines, I guess I'm fine. However, I think that it's kind of like it's a symptom, right? It's a symptom of bad management overall. If
Correct.
you are a bad manager, you hire someone like Sweet Baby Inc. to work on your game. Um, Again, just from seeing the list that I saw, and I don't know if it's a complete list. I don't know if it's like all of them. Some of the games I've never played, but the ones I've tried or seen or interacted with that are on that list are all shit. There's not a good game on there.
Right.
And so that does beg the question, like why what is the common theme between all these, right? Other than Sweet Baby Inc. I just don't know, right? Like so.
Right. Unless Sweet Baby Inc. is somehow involved in the actual game mechanics or something
No,
too.
I don't think they are, but
Right.
again, it's one of those things where like it people it, ineptness breeds ineptness. Okay, so if you have an inept management team, you're gonna have inept writers. You're gonna have inept game developers. It's just the project's gonna fail. It's gonna flop. But again, these are AAA titles, so they don't really flop. They just kind of get put out there. I don't know. Do you think we're let me ask you this, if I may, Mr. 𝕍𝖎. Do you think we're on the verge of a Gamergate 2?
Um, I honestly, I am looking at it more from like a financial and management aspect of gaming. I know that the Gamergate one, as far as I know, was more started out as more like fight against the journalistic ethics, and then turned into something much more sinister, and then went into all the different dimensions of gaming in general. I don't think we are at the precipice of a Gamergate 2. I think we will definitely see better games come out. Like, gaming is not the only place where we are seeing like a what you call it, like a downturn in quality. Recently in movies, we also saw some really bad movies come out in the past couple of years. Like pretty much a movie that would generally be considered the worst movie of the decade was in 2023 was probably just, oh, there's another movie coming out this week that would otherwise be a contender for worst movie of the decade. But we've seen recently movies get better, and I think the writing departments, the directors, and all the sort of creatives, they have been
What's the
given
worst movie of
much.
2023?
Oh, I haven't even seen some of them. So
In your opinion,
yeah,
like that you've seen, what's the worst? Come on, give us a name.
I honestly I haven't seen that many movies in 2023 because they just did not interest me. So
Okay.
I would definitely be not be making like an intellectual assessment. Like I watched movies that everybody claimed were good in 2023. So
Like what?
I don't want to piss anyone off by naming a movie that was probably one of the better movies of 2023, right?
You gotta get. You're killing me here. You gotta give me something to work with, right? Like I can't.
Uh,
Like this is so
okay, give me
vague,
time to
man.
ponder. Give me time to ponder over it. Okay, how about this? Barbie. I did not
You
think
didn't
Barbie
like
was that
Barbie?
good.
Fair enough. I mean,
Uh,
I liked it. I thought it was
Hard
great. Yeah.
disagree. Disagree.
I
That
think
was
any
definitely one of
other
my
time in movie history, it would be considered like an average to decent movie. It was one of the best movies of 2023. That's my problem. I'm not saying Barbie is an objectively bad movie. I'm just saying that it was hyped up because all the other movies were so bad that even that seemed like kind of like a gem, you know.
I think it really is a gem. I think you're missing out. I think that the production, the visual quality, the costuming, the attention to detail, all of these things were amazing and really of a higher caliber than we've seen in the past 5 years, easy in another movie.
Right. Again, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of movies and I don't really did not really think about it too much.
Fair
So
enough.
this was like not a very educated guess.
It's
So I
all
stand
good. We just appreciate you calling in, sir. We do. We really
right.
do. You said you
Right.
had one
And
more thing for us before we let you go.
yeah, yeah. Actually, this was supposed to be the bigger topic, I thought, but I had some thoughts on the lolly discussion that has been going on in recent weeks, and some of the thoughts that have been shared on your panels. So one thing I'd like to
Please.
clarify that obviously I'm not here to defend any lolly watchers or any pedophiles. However, some of the arguments that I've heard, I'm not completely sold on. I've heard things like, oh, they should be put up on a list. I've heard things like pedophiles do ABC, so therefore everyone who does ABC is a pedophile. Yeah, and a lot of vibes of pre-crime stuff when it comes to how we manage lolly watchers. And I wanted to get your thoughts on those particular arguments. I have no problem with socially condemning any lolly
Sure.
watchers. If you find out where your friend is watching lolly and you don't want to associate with them, I have absolutely no problem with it. I do have a problem with putting them on a list somewhere, even though the only thing that they've done is watch lolly.
I'm gonna toss this one to Madam Genevieve first. Go ahead. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. So the question is, do I agree they should be put on a list? Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, like I don't know how much of the debates, how many of the debates you've watched in recent weeks regarding that stuff. In general, I'm just trying to understand that is there justification to, yeah, put people who watch lolly on a list somewhere, or should they be banned from certain jobs just based on a list?
Here, let me try to ask it this way. Maybe this way would be better.
Okay.
Madam Genevieve, you have a kid, okay?
Yeah.
And you need someone to babysit for that kid. And you have a friend that watches lolly. Are you familiar with what lolly is, first of all? I guess I'll ask that.
I believe so, but I let me just clarify, right? It's sort of like it's animated, yes?
Anime, like
Like
cartoon drawings of
like
sexualized children. Yeah.
yeah.
Young
Okay.
kids. Yeah.
I would if I don't actually have a child,
Sure,
but if
sure.
I did, I would probably feel more comfortable selecting someone who didn't
Yeah.
consume this type of
It'd be
entertainment to watch
fine.
my child.
Yeah. And I guess my point here, though, to I guess interject my own opinion here, Zephyr, and then I want to hear Madam Genevieve's as well, is I think it's fine to discriminate against lolly enjoyers. I do. I don't think they should be locked up or anything, right? I don't think it should be illegal. Though I think Fairy Queen made some arguments that it actually already is. I don't know about the legality of it, but I will say that I just don't want to be around them. Like, if you are super into this, it's a huge red flag to me, and I don't like it. Anyway,
I think
What are
I'm
your
on the
thoughts?
same page with you there. It is animated, so it doesn't seem, again, I don't know totally the legality of it either, but it seems like it is legal to consume. I generally don't encourage us to like condemn people for whatever kind of media they consume unless obviously there's like unethical production behind that media, right? But it's animated, nobody's actually being there's no real actors involved. But I might judge you a little bit. Like you can consume it. It's fine and you're not going to I don't think you should be locked up or whatever, but me personally, I probably am not gonna wanna, like, be your bestie, and that not only goes for something like this, but, like, I don't know, other types of entertainment and things as well, where I'm like, if that's what you're into, like, I guess you do you, but I that's not something I'm into, so I'm gonna keep my
Fair enough. Does that answer your question, Zephyr?
It sort of does, but I guess just wanted clarification on: do you consider some of the um, solutions that were given as like a pre-crime, like a pre-judgment on based on
Yeah, some were.
like
Like, look, I think the weakest argument that they had was people who are charming are more likely to be pedophiles. Really?
yeah, that was there too.
Um, what?
Was this a specific person who was
Yeah,
putting
it
up
was Fairy Queen made this argument. I think it was her weakest
okay,
argument. It was otherwise she had very strong ones, but that one was just out
not
there. And I was like, what? But yeah. Anyway, thanks for calling
All
in,
right,
Zephyr.
yep.
Anything else before we let you go?
That is it. Thank you for having me on.
Have a great day.
I
See our first caller, and already we have a line growing. Gang,
I
this is a
knew
call-in
that would
show.
happen.
Indeed, this is a call-in show, so get in line now, right? Because we're going to take the callers. They're going to talk about whatever they like. It doesn't have to be about anything that we've talked about so far. If you have something you want to discuss with us that has nothing to do with any of this, please come on in, right? And share with us. Let's bring on the next caller and see what they got to say. Hey, you're live.
Yo,
Hello.
hello.
Hi, what you got for us today?
I want to touch on what you were talking about with the is Sweet Baby Inc. right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I've not played single player games since like 2008. I only really play like competitive games, multiplayer games, stuff like that. So I agree with you, Wick, that I don't really care about the writing most of the time. My problem is just rehashing the same stuff over and over and over. It's the same in movies, it's the same in lots of popular culture. Like, I don't want to play Call of Duty 978, you know? It's
I
just
The
totally agree with you on
boring.
reboots.
this. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you on this for all entertainment. I'm so tired of movie sequels and just it feels like we're trying to churn out so much content, so much entertainment that the quality has gone far
Right? I
decreased.
think in the long run, I think it is self-harm for the industries involved with it. Because eventually people are just going to get sick of it and they're not going to buy anything and these companies will go bust.
You say eventually. I think people already are in a
I
lot of
suppose it's
ways, right?
getting
I
there,
think,
yeah.
as I understand it, at least the video game industry is struggling, right? Again, I'm not an industry expert by any means, but aside from some breakout blockbuster hits like Baldur's Gate 3, generally it's there's been more flops than successes. And I
I
think
mean,
one of the reasons is because of what you said is it's all the same shit. And you're just playing the same game reskinned with maybe one or two new features. It's just there's no innovation anymore.
it's the same reason why sports games died down. Because why do you want to buy the same game every year with just different player names or whatever? It's just boring. I mean, I could play probably NHL 2001, and except for a few graphical improvements, it's going to be the same thing as NHL 2022. You know,
Yeah, and
it's it's
I
just not
get you.
interesting.
In the infuriating part of this, right? What's frustrating to me is when you point out how boring not only games but movies are. There is a certain segment of people who will say, you just hate diversity. You're just a bigot. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, The Marvels was a bad movie. It was really bad. It doesn't matter. Like,
The thing is we're literally crying out for diversity. Give me something original.
Yes, yes, but it's this wild thing. That's why I think that I'm going to look into it more. Like I said, I just found out about it an hour ago, and I got a very admittedly one-sided view of things. But the links were pretty convincing, and I do have to look into it more. But it does seem like it's just this pandering, right? That creates this slop, this sameness. It's a flattening of everything into the same goddamn shit every time. And I've already played those games. I'm done with those games. Give me something new, right? Or
Like,
give me something. Give me something old, but that's done in a better way. So I'm a big fan of older like side scrollers. I'm also a big fan of 4X games. I don't know if you're familiar.
4X, I'm not sure what you mean.
Explore, exterminate, expand,
Like real-time strategy games.
Sometimes, but a lot of them are turn-based. Something like Stellaris would be a 4X.
Okay, yeah.
Or
yeah.
Crusader Kings 3, right? That would be a 4X.
Magic. No, I'm missing this completely.
Say one more time. Say one more time.
Heroes of Might and Magic, or like
yes, Heroes of Might and Magic
or
is kind of
Valsy.
mostly like there's overlap in genres and things like that, but yeah, it's just I don't know. There hasn't been a really outside of Stellaris. There hasn't been a really good one for a long time, and I'm hankering for it. Right? I wish they'd return to that, but I don't know. Anyway,
not just originality, but the video game industry, in my opinion, is self-harming in the way that they're putting games out there as well. And just like they give us half a game, charge us full price for it, and ask us to pay more for DLC later down the line to get the rest of the game.
That has been a complaint of mine since over 10 years ago. When the
Since
DLC
the internet
stuff
existed.
yeah, the DLC stuff, it really took off. I would want to say around 2010, 2012, 2008,
Something
around
like that, yeah.
there. Like there was a back and forth right within the industry of what route to go, and unfortunately people pay for them, right? People, and I'm guilty of this too. Like some of my favorite 4X games from Paradox Interactive, like Stellaris, let's use that example again. Every few months they got a new DLC, and who's me shelling out for it? That'd be me, just throwing money at it because I really like the game. But no, you're right. A lot of people use DLC as an excuse to half-ass their game development, and it's a problem.
It brings us back to I forgot his name already, my bad, but the previous guy who was on before me. It brings us back to what he was saying about developers being too rushed and having too much load put on them, having to release games too early. If they didn't have to release the game way too early, maybe they wouldn't be doing that in the first place. Maybe they'd just give us a complete game, you know?
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to Wick's point about bad management as well. We're sort of got like bad time management, bad expectation management of when it can be released and setting these unrealistic goals, and then it's not ready. It just leads to disappointment.
True. No, base caller. Okay, great point. I agree 100%. What else you got for us?
I think that's it, really. I think that's just the points that I wanted to make.
No, thanks for coming on. Thanks for calling in. And for now, though, we're going to see you another day.
Did you know ahead of time that we were going to get another caller jumping backstage right when you sent that call to the void?
But it looks like my timing was impeccable. This is
Indeed.
I am 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙𝖘𝖍𝖔𝖜, as they say in Dune. I think I got that right. I probably messed it up. Rabbit will let me know either way, whether I fucked that up or not. But no, gang, yeah, please get in line. We need more callers. We'd love to have you. And again, you can talk about anything you'd like with us. You can bring up anything you'd like with us. If you have questions, again, we have someone who runs a sex shop here. Okay, obviously you should have questions for that.
I mean,
you're not going to get it from me.
I'm dishing out all of the answers to questions you may have, and you don't even have to physically go into the store or sign up for, an educational course. So Call in with your sex questions. I got you.
Boom. Boom. Okay, let's get in the next caller. Hello.
Hello, let me mute the screen. 1 second. So, perfect.
Hi.
Hey, what you got for
Hi.
us? You're live.
Yeah, let me tag on to the last viewer where we talked about games. And why so many games feel boring, especially towards the end game. Because it feels like every game needs to have endless content at this point. And I want to address that because Paul Walt, the developer, just said, yeah, we don't have any more content. Play something else.
Yeah, I think that this extends beyond games. I think this just goes into media in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one wants a good story to end, but unfortunately, it stops being a good story at some point if it doesn't end. A good example of this is Lost. Do you guys remember Lost?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that show should have ended like 3 seasons earlier.
Absolutely. That's a perfect example of where the success of the show led to its downfall because it was so popular. The media corporation was like, we need more. We're not going to stop this. We're making bank. But the writers had an ending in mind. They're like, okay, we need to stop this, right? We need to write the ending. But they weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do because the corporations, right, were just pushing them to do these things. And I think the same is with games, right? Like there are plenty of, I'm sure, developers who would love to have a short game, limited content that they could just release and be fine. But there are pressures out there for them to get it out way before it's ready, as well as to just keep pumping out shit, even if it's bad. And I think that you're exactly right on that. Yeah, absolutely.
I have an example of this that you reminded me of in the movie world. So way back when, in the 2010 era, I worked for Disney, as some of you may know, and this is around the time that Toy Story 3 had come out. And the Pixar production teams internally were so proud of Toy Story 3. They were so proud of how the story had wrapped up, how the characters' story arcs had completed. They felt like they had tied a bow neatly on this tale, right? And this was the end. They did not want to do any more Toy Story movies, with the exception of a couple of their little shorts, like those 10 to 15-minute little clips where some of the characters have like side quests or whatever. But like they had put the cap on it. There was not going to be a Toy Story 4 ever. Tell me why 10 years later, somehow they managed to convince Pixar to put out a Toy Story 4. I personally have not seen it. I refuse to see it because I know that the original creators didn't want that. They didn't want that to be part of the tale. And I don't know what the tale is. Maybe it's really good. Maybe it's fantastic. But we brought back something that we all maybe loved and enjoyed. But really, that story should have ended with the third edition.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it our fault, caller? Do you think we're to blame?
If we buy it, they're gonna produce it. It's all on the consumer. As long as we buy the shit, we're gonna get it more. That's just it.
And we keep buying it. We do, right?
It's true.
Again,
It's
the
true.
video game industry
A lot
is
of the
struggling
time.
right now. The video game industry is struggling. I can't speak for the movie industry. I'm not familiar with those stats, as familiar with those stats. But I just don't know. I don't know. Like, I get bored and I need something, right? I need something to occupy me. So sometimes, against my better judgment, I'll be like, okay, we'll watch the 50th version of an X-Men backstory, right? Like we'll just put that out.
We have now the 5th movie for Planet of the Apes. How often can we tell the same story?
Why don't we
Infinitely, it would seem.
How about this? And this is a community challenge, gang. I'll put this out to you guys. We need to tell an original story. So let's get together as a community and put something together, something original, even if it's just an outline of an idea that we can just raise the banner on and maybe get someone who's because we have to. I have enough
This is a
connections.
creative community.
Yeah, I have to have someone who's involved in something, or when it comes to either game development or show production. I have to have some connections there, and maybe we can be the change we want to see. I don't know. Anyway,
You know what? Give us a good idea, and I will support you financially with my ticket to your movie. So, not that I'm funding the movie. Let's be clear. I will go see it. Though. I will go see it.
Well, this movie has been funded by Progressive Victory, right? No, that's a joke, gang. But no,
that's gonna be
good
clipped.
advertisement.
It would. Yeah, it's a lot. Is there anything else you had for us, dear caller?
Yeah, this was just a spun of the moment thing because the last caller talked about games. I actually wanted to talk about American exceptionalism a little bit.
Please.
But I hate that term. I'm obviously not American. Everyone hears my accent. And it's not actually what it represents, but the way it's used. Because I have never before in my life heard the term British exceptionalism, except Brexit happened, and suddenly they had a huge amount of issues that they didn't have solutions for, and the pro-Brexit group just said, oh, I believe in British exceptionalism. It always sounds like a cheap excuse, and that's actually the point where I always hate Austrian, almost a little to the left. And also same in America. Every time in America there's a big issue, healthcare, for example, it's Republicans, we can call it as it is.
Sure.
They just say, oh, I believe in American exceptionalism. It's just a cheap excuse. And that's where I think this term needs to stop.
I'll agree and disagree with you. So my agreement with you is that yes, it's often used as an excuse, right? It's often used as a cheap kind of get out of jail free card. There's no thought put into it. It's just a thought terminating cliche. In other words, that happens a lot. So yes, you're correct, but I will disagree with you because, God damn it, America is exceptional. We are the leaders of the free world. I'm not memeing. I'm not joking around. We are the ones stopping the Houthis from terrorizing the shipping lanes over in the Middle East, right? We're the ones that are the thin red line between China and them just taking Taiwan back, right? And I hope to God that we re-up our commitment to defend Ukraine. We've failed in that this last year, but we need to become the leaders in that again. I think that America is exceptional. It should remain exceptional, and it should continue to grow even more exceptional through diplomacy, military might, and economic strength. That's my take. What's your take, Genevieve?
I would say that yes, we are an exceptional country, and part of being exceptional is acknowledging that we can continue to grow and change and improve. So I yes, I agree. 2 thumbs up. Ditto.
Yeah, but at the same juncture, just Donald Trump, who's maybe not going to be the next president, who knows?
It is possible to be exceptional and still have a lot of areas and things to work on.
True.
So let's make that be clear.
And Trump will not be president if I have anything to say about it. We're working hard. Genevieve, I knew you were thinking about coming to the Ohio thing we had.
Yeah,
I'm hoping we can get you to make it to the next one because I think you would have enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get some info on the upcoming ones.
When I have it, I'll give it to you. Okay, I don't have it yet, but
that was the answer I got from everyone too. Is it doesn't really exist yet, but when it does, I'm into it.
Awesome.
Just last quick point.
Please.
Don't want to hold up the line because I know a few people. My chancellor said it the first time Trump came along. We can no longer trust in America. And now Trump with his "I would encourage Russia to attack the EU." We already talking about, do we need to rearm with nukes? Because I agree, America, leader of the free world, but if it's crumbling with Trump every time we have an election period, that trust is gonna vanish real fast. Because we are scared if it comes to stuff like that. And if America wants to hold that position, fine. As much as you want, I will support that. But as soon as that trust is gone,
No,
we are gonna
I feel
look
you.
to other places.
I feel you on that, and I don't blame you, right, for being worried and being upset and wondering, because there is a segment of the American population and in the American politic that wants to withdraw from the world, and I think that would be a terrible, terrible mistake. But my commitment to you, dear sir, is I will fight against them tooth and nail in the ballot box. I will make sure, to the best of my ability, that they are far away from the levers of power, and that the people who want to be involved in the world, who want to be keep their commitments to the EU, keep their commitments to Taiwan, keep their commitments to Ukraine, are willing to kind of, keep in power. Anyway, thank you for calling in, and I'll see you later. Bye.
Have a nice day.
Hey,
What a pleasant caller. A very
Indeed.
pleasant caller.
indeed.
Let's see.
Moving on to our next.
We had one before Admiral Gibbs, but they left. I don't know if they...
Something sloth. I didn't catch the whole
Yeah,
word, the whole name. I apologize, but they
well,
keep popping in and out.
Yeah, just, gang, if you come backstage, please stay backstage until we can get to you. I know we can't, get to you, every single time, but
We're trying.
We're trying to go in line here. So there is a line starting to form, so please, Discord and chat, click the link, accept the rules, and jump backstage. Let me get on the wonderful, the great Admiral Gibbs. Hello, you're live, sir.
Hello. Can't hear you, though. You are muted. Do we not have the cord plugged in?
Uh-oh. Give him a second. The Republican competence at work, right? We're seeing it live.
Well, I was over here doing a thing. I didn't want y'all to hear me coughing up a storm in the background. Yeah, that's a problem. But how y'all doing today? Y'all doing good? I wanted to talk about the border. How does that sound? Sound good?
Give it to us.
I'm good.
The Canadian border?
No, the only border that matters, the southern border that Texas fought 2 wars against Mexico for and to get the Rio Grande established as our border. I'm going to give you some stats from this weekend. Y'all tell me if this sounds good. In 72 hours, from Friday morning to the end of Sunday, we've had 21,000 people come through just areas around Laredo alone. All right. I want to talk about that border bill. That border bill was offering 55,000 beds at maximum. So just in 72 hours, in only one small few mile segment, we already had 21,000 people that would have filled up all those beds. And so I want to say to the Democrats and all the rhinos that have said this bill was a good thing, where are you at now? This is bullshit. It was clearly just fake news that y'all were saying this bill gave us anything we wanted. What are y'all at? What do y'all think?
Do you want to take this one, Genevieve? I've taken this one before, but I want to hear your thoughts on this, Genevieve. Border issues. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. I was not ready for this one, so let me gather my thoughts here a little bit.
That's fine. I got more stats for you if you want. You want some more stats?
I mean, you can hit me with more stats if you want to.
Sure.
I guess I don't know that it's going to change my opinion too much.
Since January 1st, there have been 59 people caught on the terror watch list. 58 of those people have come through illegally, not through ports of entry, along the Texas border. We just caught another one this weekend. So How do y'all defend such a porous border when a national government's job is to secure the border that we're allowing terror
Would
watch
have
list
been
people in?
nice. Would have been nice if we passed a bill that helped us do that, huh?
But it
Would have
didn't
been
do that.
nice. Would have been
It
nice. Do you
wasn't.
think it would have
It,
been better or
no,
worse?
absolutely not. Worse.
You think it'd be worse if we get
Yeah.
50,000 new beds, 1,300 more Border Patrol agents, massive amounts of funding to the Border Patrol itself? You think it would have been worse? Really?
Absolutely. I'll tell you why. Because it
Tell us how.
incentivizes people to come here illegally because it's cutting down the wait time for the asylum seekers. It's giving people a chance to come here through these ports of
Do you
entry.
think asylum seekers should have longer wait times?
Absolutely. I think that we should just get rid of them all in the back and then they'll let them
We
deal with it
shouldn't
in their own
offer
country.
asylum.
Absolutely, we should. Like, we need to take care of America first. We just had a guy talking about Ukraine and how they're scared and all Europe's scared, right, because of Russia, right? You know what? We're scared down here. Our economy is in shambles. Our infrastructure is failing. Citizens are dying. I didn't even bring up all the violence crime stats that have recently happened. Social programs across the nation are failing because they're being flooded by illegal immigrants. And all we get
It
told
would
down
be
here is,
cool
oh,
to
we're
have some
racist.
statistics to bring up about like violent crime stats of people who are American citizens who were born in America and who commit acts of terror, because those are the ones that seem to be the most prevalent.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because even if they are doing that, the country still has a duty to its citizenry first. Do you not agree with that statement?
And we're clearly failing, and we're trying to redirect the fact and blame terror on people that are external, when in reality we have some pretty strong terrorists that are currently inside our borders already. I just feel like it's a misdirect for you to say that like the whole border problem comes down to people that letting in terrorists. That
It's
just
not
feels
even terrorist.
like irrelevant.
That is a very small iota of the problem, but it is
But
a
that's one
portion.
of the statistics that you're trying to throw.
Sure, it is a statistic. I mean, you don't think that we've had
You
all
want
these
to
people
choose a more
come here
important
illegally?
one then?
Yeah, I mean, I started off with the 21,000 just in 72 hours through a small, like 5 mile radius. I mean, we can talk about the millions that are coming across that are destroying our infrastructure. Like, I literally can go literally 300 feet from my house right now and go take a video of a migrant camp. Crime is on the rise. Businesses are shutting down. We don't have the infrastructure
Gibbs,
to handle this.
And you believe that having people have longer asylum would help crime go down? It seems
Well,
like if people were
problem
stuck in
is,
asylum camps for
the
longer, we would have increased crime. Perhaps we should make these processes more efficient, and then we would see less problems.
or check this out. Check this out. This is a really crazy one, right? Maybe before we start processing people who are here and speeding up that process to like allow more people to get their stuff done faster in the back end, maybe we should stop the flow in. It sounds like what y'all are trying to do, what Democrats are really pushing, is getting a bucket and like taking it to the Gulf of Mexico and trying to just dump out the Gulf of Mexico by like pulling it out and not stopping the giant like flood. Like, and that's what's really happening is we're getting our border wall torn down and then we're getting offers of replacement, and we have no reason to trust the government to actually do anything about this because they've done for the last like 6-8 years have done
you
nothing.
know who you shouldn't trust, Gibbs? You shouldn't trust the Republican Party to handle this, because Biden and Democrats and Republicans in a bipartisan manner put together a bill that would at least begin to solve. It was a good first step to solve the issue, because you are correct. It is a problem that needs solving. We need answers for the border. The border is a problem. I will acknowledge that 100%. Wouldn't it be nice if we took some steps to fix that problem? And no, it's not perfect. No, it's not everything you ever wanted, right? But it's more than you got now. And so it's rich for you, Gibbs, to come here, complain about the border when you had the opportunity to do something about it, and you told them, and you just threw it away because it wasn't to your taste.
I will take
Get
that.
out of here, kid. Okay, come on.
I'll take that argument, right? I'm not going to go point by point through the bill, but we could. Every single one of those provisions are not things that Republicans dealing with the border actually wanted, right? The only people that wanted that were rhinos and Democrats. And this is a Democratic talking point that they're using to say, hey, we gave you things we wanted. This was a start. In reality, none of this actually solves the problem, right? It's just a waste of taxpayer dollars to do non-issues and incentivize more illegal immigration.
You assert that, but I don't think you've proven that. I think that you have this idea that making the asylum time shorter is somehow going to incentivize a further flow. Gang, it can't get more further. Like, this isn't one of the push-pull factors that are causing this crisis. Look, let me answer your question, right? Let me address your concern, if you will, right? Like, there are issues It is unsustainable right now. We do need more facilities, better infrastructure, more funding, more border patrol, and yes, more border security, right? Because this is not sustainable. Our infrastructure cannot handle it. You are correct. But when we are, and this is the same thing I get mad at Democrats for, because Democrats have done this too, right? Where they don't get every single thing they want, and then they throw a fit, and so you get nothing instead of actually doing anything at all. This is just in reverse with the Republicans. That's what the Republicans are doing. They are throwing a fit. They are doing it for the purpose of trying to keep Biden from getting elected in 2024, right? It's a naked power politics play at the expense of the American citizen that so desperately needs and wants border security.
Let me tell you why you're wrong. First of all, there's actually a major difference between what you've just described and what's happening, right? The first difference is I'm going to use the example of a different area. Shelby Park was having about 1,500 people coming through a day. Texas put up secure border stuff, stopped all that, completely stopped it when they put up the razor wall. No immigration came through Shelby Park of any kind, illegal, legal, otherwise, right? We put up. The Biden administration has consistently tried to tear that down and has torn down other parts of the fence where we have stopped them. So this is what you're trying to tell me. You're selling me one thing and saying, hey, we're going to give you something whenever Texans are going, we already have something that's working. What we need to do is extend what's working and then maybe deal with the back end after. And when we tell you all that, people go, oh, no, that's racist. That's inhumane.
Well, it is inhumane. Razor wire absolutely is inhumane.
I mean,
it's not
so
racist. Let's throw away that talking point. I'm not one of those people, right? But I will say, right, like, and Madam Genevieve, feel free to jump in as well. But like this idea that it didn't fucking help you guys, right? It didn't solve your problem. They just went in on different areas, and had you extended it throughout the whole area, they would find other ways around it, and they would get through. That's not going to solve the problem. What's going to solve the problem is solving the underlying conditions that are causing this massive influx to happen, as well as
the idea of asylum. There's the idea of asylum. These people know that they can get it if they come, or at least have to wait the 8 years. Like, the idea they come and they get this asylum, it's going to be gifted to them by the Dems. Hey, come and get come to the land of plenty. We're going to give you asylum. We're going to give you fruit baskets. Come in, it's going to be a good time. Chocolates and candy all around. That's what's incentivizing these people. You're right. We do need to take care of the root problem, and we need to stop this terrible asylum process that we have that's incentivizing all these people to come. Do you not agree that the asylum process is incentivizing people that don't really need asylum to come here and just a giant influx?
The people who, like, the last part I disagree with, when you say that they don't really need asylum. I think most of them do. Not all, obviously, right? It's not a perfect system.
What do you think?
But most of them do. Asylum, at least as I understand it, and this is something I was very upset about with almost every administration that we've had has failed on this. So when I worked in the Air Force, right, we had terps that we'd work with, interpreters, who would serve with our troops on the ground in conflict zones, right, like in Afghanistan, Iraq, etc., who would interpret for the troops at a risk of their own lives and their families' lives. The least we could have done, is expedite their process to get to America. We didn't. We failed at that. That's what the asylums are for, right? And we are failing at that. What asylums are also for are people who have credible threats to them and their family's safety at home. And this is spreading throughout. Like, with Mexico, the cartels are terrible.
So the cartels are who we should be giving people asylum.
There's a lot of people. Like, this is no means by no means an inclusive.
No. We should not be giving asylum to people that are worried about gangs. That is not a reason. You should be giving asylum to people who are worried about government sending them down, right? Just like the people you were talking about, the interpreters, right? We left the Kurdish interpreters to die after the first Gulf War, right? That was a big no-no.
The cartels and the Mexican government are getting to be indistinguishable.
I will agree with that. To some degree. That is true. Yeah.
Genevieve, get in on here.
I think that it's true beyond just some degree. I think that that's incredibly true. I think that in a lot of areas of Mexico, the cartels are essentially the acting government, and that absolutely people who are threatened by them and their families should have options to live safely without that threat. That just seems very much in line with, like, our whole American mission here, right? I mean, like, let's get real patriotic. What does it say on the freaking Statue of Liberty, right? We're supposed to be welcoming people who are looking for better lives, and that includes people from Mexico and Central America, even if
Gibbs,
you don't like that.
Testicle Johnson for $2 says Gibbs W. Well, thank you for the $2. If you want to waste your money, that's cool. No, strike that. It's never a waste to give me money.
Honestly, I'm sorry, Gibbs. I've never interacted with you before, but
No,
it's
you're
giving
good.
like discount Alex Jones. Like we have Alex Jones at home
I
vibes,
do,
so I just can't really
do look
take you
like Alex
seriously.
Jones. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about coming in here. The Rio Grande is turning the Mexican
That's what I
day.
feel like,
No,
and I'm
just
sorry,
kidding.
I'm having a hard time following along because I can't. I
Can't
I
get
can't
past
take
it.
it seriously.
Wait, why you gotta
One thing, though.
do my man like that? Why you gotta do Gibbs like that? That's oof.
First of all, let me tell you one thing about Alex Jones. He sells testosterone pills he shouldn't. Let me tell you, I'll tell you why. I have a way better beard than Alex Jones ever could grow. He's got weak tea. I got the best tea. Let me tell you.
But see, here's the
But
thing, Gibbs. In all honesty, and I'm gonna be very serious with you for a moment. I guess I just love America more than you. I love
that's
America
never
more than you because I want there to be more Americans. I'd love for them to be more Americans. I want Americans to cover the face of the earth. I want more America everywhere, and from sea to not only just from sea to shining sea, sir, but from continent to continent. I want us to spread and grow and bring America to everyone and have everyone come to America. That's what I want ideally. Now, again, I recognize that our infrastructure cannot handle it currently, but that's why I want to pump money into the infrastructure so that they can handle it. So give money to the courts, give money to the Border Patrol, give money to the infrastructures to house asylum seekers and other immigrants, right, while they wait to be processed.
Sure.
I want to fund this because unless we fund it, it's not going to get fixed.
So let me ask you this. All right, I think that we could probably both agree that the border is a domestic and a foreign policy issue at the same time, right? There's a myriad of factors that go into both those, right? And like I said, I'm not a Trumpian conservative many times. I'm not sitting here saying we shouldn't fund the war in Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. I definitely pro the war. It helps my stocks out. Woo, go military industrial complex. But there is something sickening to like somebody like me when I can walk outside and see the infrastructure failing, see businesses closing, see the crime rates rising, and see damages being done, and then be told, hey, we're going to tie your personal security to a bill that's going to be put on this thing, and it's going to be tied to a war that's over half a world away, and it's 3 times the amount of funding you're going to get, and it's very sickening to the average person down here to go, we're going to give 60 billion to Ukraine, and then we're gonna give 20 billion to like not actually fix the problem down here, and then get told, oh, it's a start, or oh, that's giving the Republicans what they want, which are two things that are unequivocally not true, right? Like, and so it's very sickening, like to be told, take your medicine and like enjoy it, and Ukraine deserves this money, and you don't deserve jack shit, and you, in fact, because you said this wasn't good enough, you're an asshole. Like that leaves a very bad taste in my mouth, and I think that's the reason why 71% of Americans right now are saying that the border is the #1 issue that they're voting on this election.
It's a wild statistic to me. Where are you getting that from? 71% of
Yeah,
Americans?
that is actually kind of a. I've
Out
seen
there,
that
you know where I
before.
got it? I just got it from MSNBC and Fox News on their Super Tuesday poll exits today.
Yeah, this is an actual thing. Though I will say this, right? I think it's clear to the American people that the Republicans aren't serious about border control. They're just not. Again, I think that like that statistic is going to help Democrats because I think people understand that Biden and some Republicans and some Democrats tried to get this done, but they were blocked by people who put party ahead of country. Very common Republican L.
Or did they put
You can hold that
the
L.
party for country,
You can
or
hold
did
it.
they put their constituents before the rhinos, which is what I think is happening. I think that here on Twitch, people get confused what a real Republican is, and they start wanting to talk about these rhinos, is what Twitch Republicans are. And then because they sit here and spout the Democratic talking points, but then when you talk to actual people that live here and are dealing with the issue, it's very different. Like everyone along the border is saying the same thing. And then whenever we tell people this, people didn't even give a shit until we started shipping it to places like Chicago and New York. And the Chicago is being asked if they could build a wall around Texas. Do you understand how like gross that feels? Like bro, y'all would rather build a wall around us than build a wall around the border and just let us die and deal with it. Like that. Do y'all not see a problem with this?
I mean, like, yes, it's a problem. I'm trying to solve it. I wish you'd help me solve it, but you're not. You're deciding to throw a fit. Gibbs, thanks for coming on. Final words to you, though. Final word, and then we'll let you
God
go.
bless America and God bless Texas.
Okay, see you later, buddy. We like Gibbs here, actually. He's super wrong on this, but we like Gibbs. He's got the energy.
He's got some gusto. I know. That was my first time ever seeing or interacting with him, and I just couldn't get the.
No, I get you. No, he's a great guy.
That association.
I actually hung out with him a little bit in Vegas, right? So he was
okay. He was
cool.
at TwitchCon.
Yeah, he was at TwitchCon. He had his own little posse, right? That he dealt with. But no, he's a great guy. Really good guy. Really wrong, but really good. Okay, next contestant on whatever this is.
People can be wrong and be good people at the same time.
True. Hello, you're here. You're live. You're on the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, all right. So first of all, I'm only going to say this for a sec because he's not here to defend himself. But I just wanted to point out that immigration in the U.S. is at like a record high, and violent crime in the U.S. is at a record low. I'm not saying that they're correlated or whatever. I'm just saying when we harp on immigration and we harp on crime at the same time, it bears stating that that's the case. But that being said, what I did want to come on to talk about just briefly, because it's just been on my mind and I feel like just like screaming it from the rooftops. I don't know if you've looked into the Missouri HB 2885.
Can you describe the bill? The number ain't gonna help.
Yeah, sure.
A name or what it references. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah. No, it is a bill that would enact to repeal and enact in lieu thereof 2 new sections relating to the offense of contributing to social transition with a penalty provision. Essentially, they are discussing making any teacher who assists with like any kind of social transition of anybody under the age of 18 with the penalty of becoming a sex offender and making it a Class E felony.
When you say social transition, do you mean stuff like respecting their pronouns? What does this entail exactly?
Sure. So specifically what they lay out here in the bill, it says a person commits the offense of contributing to social transition if the person is acting in his or her official capacity as a teacher or school counselor, and the person provides support, regardless of whether the support is material, informational, and or other resources, to a child regarding social transition. Social transition is defined as the process by which an individual adopts the name, pronouns, and gender expressions such as clothing or haircuts that match the individual's gender identity and not the gender assumed by the individual's sex at birth. So pretty broad definition there of pretty much literally anything that would affirm a minor's gender identity would be punishable by having a felony on your record and being registered as a sex offender.
That sounds crazy. And I'm gonna.
This is insane.
It sounds crazy. Like, look, I get it with the surgeries and stuff, right? I can understand being hesitant, right? Having issues. I get it. But if what you are describing is accurate, right? I haven't read the bill. I want to be clear, right? But if you are representing it accurately, that's insane. To provide to be labeled a sex offender for providing a minor with info on haircuts to look more boyish or femme. What?
To providing any support. These are teachers and counselors. Like, we want them to support our children, right? Like, even if the children, whatever the child is experiencing, they should be providing support. Like, that's literally their job.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So I dropped it.
What was it? 2285, right?
Yeah, Missouri HB 2885.
And this is just recently proposed or recently.
Yeah, it's had a reading and a second reading as well a couple days ago. So there's not a lot of movement on it yet. I'm definitely one that I'm keeping a close eye on personally. Just because I mean this is like you said, I'm right there. This is insanity. A lot of the bills that you see and a lot of the things that we see as far as the anti-LGBT sort of legislation that's coming up, I try to be like sort of fair. Like, well, I can see where someone would be hesitant about X, Y, or Z, so on and so forth. But when it comes to this, I can't think of this other than as like a targeted hate bill at this point. And when I
How
heard
much
about it, I was
support does it have, right? Like realistically, if you had to put if you were a betting man, okay, and you had to put a number on it, like odds, what would the odds because this is something that I see all the time, right? Like something comes up, it's a wacky bill, but it just gets voted down like easy. It just gets destroyed.
Sure.
So is that what's happening here, right? Because it sounds like that kind of thing might be happening here. Or am I just wrong here in my initial impression?
I think based on all the reporting that I've seen so far, I think you're dead on the money. I don't think that this is going to go anywhere. My main concern, and the one thing that kind of stuck out to me about this bill, is the fact that the GOP is at a place where fringe members feel emboldened enough to bring forth bills like this. Like, yeah, we hear crazy bills all the time, but this feels like the particular like targeting nature of a bill like this is something that I don't think we would have seen, a couple years ago. I think we're seeing a sort of ramping up of targeted harassment and hatred towards specifically trans people, but by and large, LGBTQ people, and so seeing a bill like this hit the floor at all it's to me just it's unconscionable at this point.
Sucks to suck in Missouri. I guess like I'm just glad that my instinct was kind of right. This probably has no chance of passing. I hope it remains that way. I do think it's valid to bring it up as a point of concern, though, even if it doesn't have much chance, right? Because it is indicative of trends, right? And we got to look at trends. How are things going? Not just where they are today, but where they may be in the future. And I think that like that kind of targeted, and you're right that this does feel very targeted, bill is a problem. We look at things like the Florida, what's happened in Florida with their not so much like I don't know too much about the anti-LGBTQ stuff, but I do know a lot about their anti-First Amendment stuff that they've had down there. It's a problem, and it's just getting worse. And so, yeah, if we can nip it in the bud, that'd be great. What would you suggest, like, as a way to combat these kinds of things? Because obviously, as you would agree, it's going to get shut down, right? The bill's just going to not pass. But is there a way to kind of like reverse this trend line, in your opinion? What do you think?
I mean, the kind of boring answer, but the answer that I would give is to talk to your friends and family, make them aware of these kinds of things. I know voter turnout is super low all over the country, all the time, consistently. And I think if you can bring to attention, people in your circle who maybe aren't as politically active, just bringing to their attention, like, these are the insane things that are being brought forth. Like, this guy, as crazy as this is, I mean, he won an election. To get to the point where he was able to bring this bill forward, somebody voted this guy in. People voted this guy in. And a large portion of that, I'd be willing to bet, if you go in there, you've probably got pretty low voter turnout in a lot of these kind of locations. I know that's the case here, for instance. I'm in Idaho, and we have a pretty robust Democrat base in our capital. But because the state is viewed as such a red state, a lot of people just don't bother coming out at all and don't vote at all. And so I think it kind of comes back down to that, of just bringing these things to people's attention and saying, these are the things that are happening. This is why voting matters. It's not sexy, it's not fun, but it's important.
What do you talk about? Voting isn't sexy. Voting's very sexy, okay? If I find out that someone voted, they are infinitely more attractive to me than people who don't. I'm just letting you know that straight up, okay, ladies? Oh, yeah. Voting. Let's make voting sexy again. I agree with you. Like, I'm
into that.
Absolutely for this. Right, left, or center. Gang, I don't care, right? At the end of the day, I want your voice to be heard. I want you to go out there and make your voice count, like make it heard. And the way we do that is through voting in this country, not just in the every 4-year elections, right? Not just even in the midterms. There are local elections that happen all the time, right? Be involved, get involved, make your voice heard, make your family and your friends aware. Like, hey, did you know there's a bill up for vote today? You can go and you can look at it. It's Super Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Gang, and if you're sitting here and you're watching me, why aren't you out voting? You can watch me after. But no, yeah, absolutely.
Watch on your cell phone while you're waiting.
True. But yeah, go out and vote. Anything else before we let you go, sir?
I will just say to that, I 100% agree. Voting matters. I know I can point to many examples in my home state where levies are decided by 3 digits, not huge margins. You can make a difference. You should vote. It matters. It counts. And elections have consequences.
True. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Based electoralism caller. Okay. We love to see it.
Indeed. And I know it feels like really repetitive to be talking about make sure you get out there and vote all the time, because I know everybody's tired of hearing it and I'm tired of saying it, but it's so true. And we have to keep saying it, and we have to keep reminding people to do it and actually follow through with it.
Yeah, it's not fun, and it can suck waiting in line. I get it, but gang, this is how we affect change. And if you actually care about these issues and you want things to be done about them, that's how you do it. Now, I will say though, like, again, it's looking like this thing didn't even pass committee.
Yeah, this one feels like it's not really going to go anywhere, but it does bring about the bigger issue of voting importance.
Yeah, it's we don't want them to start casting committees. Let's say that. Okay, next caller. Let's bring in Allison. It's been a while since we've said hi to Allison. Allison, hello.
Hello.
I'm going to move these plastic bags. I have a cat close to me, and he will play with them, so just don't mind that. Wait 1 second. I can turn my camera on if I can find it. Hello.
Hi. Well, we got a little bit of a different view than we normally do. Hi.
My
We
view
got a
is
furry
based on my
friend.
laptop, so it moves around, and I have like a bunch of shit on my desk right now, so that's normally where my laptop is sitting, but it's just like very occupied. So this is Roger.
Hi, Roger.
Hi, Roger.
He's very sleepy. We just went on a very long walk, so.
Well, cool. What do you got for us today, Allison?
Okay, wait. Honestly, I have no plans. I'm mostly just vibing, but I did love I was on a phone call for most of the last caller, but I loved the moment where you were like, it's Super Tuesday, isn't it? Because that was totally me. Like, literally an hour ago, I was like, wait, it's Super Tuesday. Because I was like, oh, these primaries don't fucking matter at all, because obviously it's Trump v. Biden. Literally, who cares? Like, no offense, Nikki Haley, but, like, who gives a shit? So, who cares? Super Tuesday. I mean, no offense, but, like...
Yeah.
That was me. That was literally me.
But
I was like,
look, I'm going to be real with you. I think voting in primaries still matters, right? Like, it's still something you should do. Even if you think that the conclusion is foregone, I think making your voice heard is still important. So I will say that.
I do agree with that.
I like that, but then part of me, I do have this, like, cynical motherfucker in me that's like, I'm like a relatively liberal person that lives like in a blood red state in the Bible Belt. Like, as a matter of fact, every general election, as a matter of fact, like, my votes are going to the red candidate, point blank period. It is just like, I like going out in the primaries borderline more than the general election, because it just, like, so straight up doesn't fucking matter. Like, who, you know what I like, and I get it. Okay, first of all, if I was like in one of the like 25 counties or whatever that were like super important throughout the swing states, I would be like,
yeah, but you know, they're not just voting.
So I'm just out here in the sticks. Like, I just,
yeah, a lot of times, and I'm not sure in your location if this is the case or not, but a lot of times they'll also put up ballot initiatives. They'll also put up down ballot candidates. They'll also there will be more than just the primaries at stake, right? Again, I'm not, it varies location to location. I'm not sure about your location, right? But this happens all the time.
Kind of shitting on the idea that, like, voting in the national elections, voting D or R on the presidential ticket is always important, even if your vote is entirely symbolic and you can empirically demonstrate this. I'm kind of suspicious of that. Okay, voting state and local, always important. But this idea that God damn it, going and marking Joe Biden in a state that will vote for Trump 20 out of 10 times, it matters. Like, it's hard for me to believe that it actually does. I don't
It
know.
can't change unless we continue to go out, even if it seems hopeless, and cast our throw it, to spit against the wind, to kick against the pricks, right? I understand that you think that, like, oh, there's no chance in hell this ever turning around. But I think that the only way we can have any chance at all, because it's not just, so on the margins, funding by the DNC and the RNC gets decided where they're going to put their efforts in for the next cycle, right? And if there's a huge difference between a state going R plus 20 and a state going R plus 5, right? There's a huge difference in that. And Brittany Simon, hello, welcome. Thanks for the raid. We're doing call-ins today, gang. So yeah, thanks for coming by. Brittany Simon's going to be with us tomorrow. So for you Brittany Simon viewers who just want to see more Brittany Simon, tune in tomorrow. And we're going to have her on there.
Want to see more Brittany Simon?
But for now, we're talking and we're arguing about voters. So what would you say to that, Miss Negative Nancy?
I mean, okay, like, I sympathize with that, and for the record, I was somebody who last Super Tuesday I went out and I voted for Mr. Bernie Sanders, okay, in this red state of mine, okay, and then in the general election I fucking voted for Joe Biden because I hate Donald Trump, like literally, emotionally, and retardedly. I hate him so much. Like, I get it. I am gonna be the person that, like, stupidly, symbolically is just like, well, I want my, like, fucking hangnail of a percent to be represented in the popular vote, even though the electoral college is what, like, actually shifts power. Like, I am that person, but when I'm talking to somebody with, like, an actual job that's, like, physically demanding, and they've got, like, a lot of shit on their plate and, like, a lot more stuff to worry about than I do, frankly, it's, like, really hard for me to make this argument that, like, no, guys, the symbolism, the extra, like, 0.00001% on the popular vote, guys, like, no, like, it means something. It doesn't mean nothing. Like, I just have a hard time making that argument. I'm not saying it can't be made, but I have a hard time making it.
You want to go for it, Genevieve? Give it a go.
I can see where you're coming from. However, like, what's the alternative is not having your opinion registered. Like, you're just, I don't know. I just feel like for other people, I'm kind of like, you're rather just, like, letting it, like, not disagreeing, not expressing it. Like, that feels like a shitty alternative. But then also, even if you do have a physically demanding job, like, that's a protected right that you get to vote. So if your employer isn't letting you take time to vote, like, that's illegal, guys. So definitely that's not an excuse. And then 2, like, mail in your ballot. That's also an option. You don't have to go in person. Like, there are options.
If I may, as well, I think you're really downplaying. If you don't vote, or let me try it this way. Okay, if you vote, there is a chance your vote won't matter. Like, it won't register, right? There's that chance. There's that possibility. In some cases, it's a very likely possibility. But if you don't vote, there is no chance. If you don't vote, you don't matter. Because, again, how do politicians in our electoral system that we have, how do they decide what cities to go to, what regions to canvas in, what areas to focus on, and what issues even to bring up, right? They look at the people who are likely voters, not just registered voters, but likely voters who have a pattern of voting, and they will base their policies and their decisions on that group. They do not care about you if you don't vote. Why would they? So even if it's just for the selfish reason of getting your ideas to be discussed that you care about on the ballot, even if you live in a deep red or a deep blue state, go out there and vote. It's the way to go, baby.
there's a problem in the I don't Trump fucked everything up when you're talking about like Republican Party politics. Like I don't feel competent to talk about anything, to be honest. But like especially like after Trump, I feel like he just kind of flipped the whole thing over and like no grand statements can be made. But back in the day, and I mean this might be like what helped Trump a lot, but back in the day, Republican commentators used to point to this like unfortunate idea that like, you know, Christian evangelicals, they're not that much of the country, but they have a very outsized influence in the Republican voter base because they show up to primaries the most reliably. So all these motherfuckers are like pandering to them, even though they're just a sliver of the overall population, because that is actually who keeps them or like an opponent in power. You know what I mean? So like, no, you're on to something. Like if you can actually like get a bunch of people to show up and be like, we matter. Like we might not be most people, but like we're gonna be the people that matter. Like you're on to something. I see that.
Changing minds, that's what we do. What else you got for us, Allison? I've convinced you. I've turned you. I've earned my woo bucks, my progressive victory bucks for the day. So give us something else. What else you got for us?
Curveball right out of left lane. Okay, Dartmouth men's basketball team has voted to unionize. My boyfriend laughed at that because he was okay. First of all, it's a big controversy because like they got NIL recently, college athletes did. And people are like, this is the first step. Like they're gonna try to make these motherfuckers federal employees or something like it. And then other people are turning around and like, is that even a bad thing? I don't even have an opinion on this, for the record. I'm like, I don't feel competent to like issue opinions on what athletes should or shouldn't be allowed to do. But I do think it's like interesting from afar. But I I sent the headline to my boyfriend, who's like a big basketball fan, big college basketball fan, and he immediately said, LOL, Dartmouth is the most ass team in the Ivies. They literally just don't want to be able to get fired for poor performance. Which, like, I don't know anything about Dartmouth's record, but allegedly they are an ass basketball team in the Ivy Leagues, okay? So,
I also don't know anything about basketball. However, yeah, on the face of it, I don't see a problem with unionizing. I think, in general, not always, unionizing is good.
Do it. So it's like, ooh, historic.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the industry to know what kind of protections that would bring, or if it's I don't know enough about this. Genevieve, can you help me out? I have no idea.
I don't know enough about this either. I'm not a sports girl. I don't follow a lot of like what they're like what protections they would need. Like I don't know what that looks like, but I do know that in general I'm a fan of unions. I think that having been a manager of union employees and a manager of non-union employees, um I personally think that unions provide a lot of benefits, and they made my job easier because there were very clear black and white guidelines. I don't know. I'm a fan of it as an option if they want to.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, Allison. Sorry we didn't have much for your second topic.
Sorry, that wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
Of
I mean, I don't even have much. I just like it's always I want to read more about the unionization fight. I don't even know enough about like the arguments for or against union. I mean, I know the like.
No, in general, like if you wanted to
like,
talk about like
I don't know.
Starbucks or Amazon unions, we could have a discussion. But like a basketball team union, like
Well, a student athlete, yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, for me, I'm like, okay, when it comes to people who are unambiguously employees, like,
do they even get paid? Do student athletes get paid? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't really even know.
Well, just recently they got NIL rights, like name, image, and likeness rights, so they can like sponsor Gatorade or whatever. 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙, the LSU gymnast that went like mega viral, is allowed to be like a sponsored athlete for people. In previous decades, she would have just had this massive social media following that she literally would have been federally prohibited from monetizing, right? So like athletes within the last 5 years have gotten name, image, and likeness rights. Some people come in and they say, 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙, this is not her fault. This is not her fault. But the fact that this has happened and that we are letting these like college athletes, we're incentivizing them to make themselves into global like celebrities, they say that ruins the athletic experience for a lot of normal college athletes. They're like, SEC gymnasts can't go to a normal gymnastics meet for the next 4 years. It's like a fucking circus because there's one girl on one team that has like millions, if not billions, of TikTok followers. You know what I mean? So like every single event, you got to have security out the ass. It's like insane. I feel so bad for Olivia Doon herself because she can't even be like a normal college student. From what I understand, she's had to go all online and like really it's really, she can't be on LSU's campus just like a normal student because people show up and harass her because she's gotten that famous on social media.
This is just the price of fame, baby. Okay, I know when WhickTV goes out on the town, right? I need sometimes.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I need sometimes like some people like I'm beating them off with a stick, left and right. They're coming at me. I'm like, whoa, come on, I'll sign your stuff later.
Out of bushes.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, but yeah, I don't know too much about Olivia Doon in this case, but or student athletes. That might be an interesting topic, though, right? If you want to,
if you're,
please go ahead, madam.
If you're like making it so that the people you're fans of on Instagram and social media, like it just really sucks that we, as a culture, think that like because we like this person that we're gonna show up and make their life difficult and like prevent them from being able to do things. Like that's just such a weird weird mindset to me. Like we want to see her be successful, right? So let's let her go to her meets and do what she's gonna do, and she'll post about it, and we can watch that. Like I don't understand the desire to want to like meet these people outside their house and like find out what coffee shop they're at and like
curvy
I mean,
men. That's
okay, that's the case with like any beautiful
Blaming
woman,
men
but,
again.
like,
I see how it
Well,
is,
that's what
ladies.
Olivia,
Okay.
I mean, I feel so bad. Okay, I'm happy for Olivia Doon because she's like really wealthy and like she's doing great. But I do feel so bad for her because she is literally just like a normal woman that like made an account and she just happened to be the like 1 in a million that goes like uber viral, and then you're like kind of cursed with fame. Like I don't know that she, I mean, maybe you impliedly consent to go mega viral, like you consent to that chance whenever you like post anything online. But I don't know that I'm willing to say like, oh well, you know, her posting gymnastics videos, like she impliedly consented to like all the consequences of like being a like quasi Kardashian figure.
How
Like,
much money is she making?
To be stalked and harassed. That's certainly for sure.
Sure.
Like, she to have
But let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Money, so why do we feel bad for her?
Yeah,
It's
let's
like, well,
pump the brakes a little bit because like we're talking about all the bad sides, and by all means, right? But do we want to put blocks on the good sides as well? Because any mechanism we craft to kind of protect people from the bad sides is going to make it harder for them to get to the juicy, gooey, ooey gooey center, right? The yummy stuff. And I do wonder and I worry that we are, in order to avoid bad, we are sacrificing good. But I don't know. Again, I don't know about this particular incident. So go ahead.
I intuitively support NIL for athletes. Unionization and like the creation of a quasi-federal employee status, I don't know about that as much, like, but I don't know. I have interesting stories about student athletes from when I was in college. Like there were some guys that were on a degree path that I have this conspiracy theory where it like literally wasn't it was a degree that basically you didn't major in anything. I don't even know that a specific department is named on your degree, but you just were acknowledged formally by the university as having completed enough hours in classes, period. And so it's like literally like the participation trophy of college degrees. And like they would have these student athletes on that. And I'm like, I hear people, because I hear old boomers and they're like, oh, they can't be employees. They're getting a free education. And I'm like, okay, for my time at an SEC college, like some of these men are not, they're simply not getting an education. These universities are doing everything they can to keep these kids on the team without making them academically achieve anything, right? Because it takes away from practice. So like, I don't know. I have intuitive opinions, okay, but I'm uninformed. So hopefully, if men in the audience, if you care about sports,
we might do a panel on this. We might do a panel on this because now I'm intrigued. Now my curiosity is piqued, and maybe I want to look into this. Anything else from Madam Genevieve before we let Allison go?
No, I think that you probably should have a panel on it. I think that there's probably some other people in your community who would have interesting opinions.
Okay, well, give me 1 second here. Allison, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm glad you stopped by, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, my curiosity is piqued. It's not peaked with P-A-A-K, P-E-A-K. That's not how you spell peaked. You spell it P-I-Q-U-E-D, peaked, right?
Ooh, it's fancy.
So the dictionary detective's here to save the day, okay, gang? But yeah, now I want to look into this. Now I want to maybe do a show on this because there are threads to pull on here that interest me, and I want to see. But let's bring on the next contestant and whatever this is and say hi to 𝕾𝖎𝖙. Hello.
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 Let me get my camera up.
Okay.
Here we go. Hey. And
Hello.
Make sure the stream is muted.
Oh, and gang, while he's doing that, just FYI, if you like what you have to see, if you are enjoying this stream, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow the channel if you're on Twitch or Kick, consider gifting subs, consider super chatting. All those things really help me out and go to growing the channel. So thank you. Anyway, 𝕾𝖎𝖙, you were take it away.
All right. You mentioned Sweet Baby Inc. Is it actually happening? I don't get it. Is it actually happening again? Is it 2015?
Gamergate never ended, sir.
I know. I've actually been talking with the person making the Gamergate book / documentary, and
Tachyon Blue.
Yep. And I am probably the only friendly critic at this point, and I'm gonna explain why. Because I was holding back until he tagged me on Twitter, and I had to just let it go. I'm gonna audience test all of you in chat and you two here in the panel. There are two narratives of Gamergate. Either Gamergate was about journalistic corruption and trading favors for coverage and, elevating people's careers, or it was about feminism kicking men out of games and the journalists who helped that happen and the associated scandals. Is it one or two?
Why not both, meme?
Okay, great. Madam Genevieve, any opinions? No?
Both.
Both? Okay. To me, number two is inclusive of number one, and it puts a funny taste in your mouth. It's like, it's not chocolate in peanut butter. It's like lutefisk in peanut butter. And so you're like, not unless you're a ultra pro Gamergator, you're going to be like, that doesn't taste. That's not a pure holy mission. This is not a good crusade. This is kind of like a distasteful, not super pure movement.
So,
and he hasn't convinced me otherwise.
And first of all, a pure movement, absolutely not. Like, I think we can all agree it wasn't a pure movement. Like, there's dirty hands on both sides. I think both teams decided to play some dirty pool and were very hyperbolic, misrepresented each other, and engaged in some really shitty behaviors. Again, I'm a layman. I am not an expert. However, now when I look at this newest round here, the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff,
I have narratives for that too.
Well, let me give you my narrative, okay? Based on, again, I asked Short Fat Otaku for a short TLDR, and he spent the next hour in my DMs just blowing him up with all this information, right? And that was the TLDR. It wasn't short.
I started to watch his video about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video yet. I'm going to. He's piqued my curiosity here. But as I understand it, they found a connection between games they don't like. The people who worked at Sweet Baby Inc. and the people who developed the game, the managers of the developers and things like that, push back against criticisms of their game, of the gameplay of their game, by saying, oh, you just hate diversity, you're bigots, you're racist, why do you hate us, right? And again, the misrepresentation we're talking about, and it's caused these internet autists to go goblin mode and decide to like list every single game that Sweet Baby Inc. has ever been a part of and make this whole list and things like that. That said, if there's a list, who the fuck cares? Like, shouldn't they be proud to have worked on these games?
I looked at the list. It's it's and here's the 4. So I know the developer in question. We'll call her Kim B, just to keep it civil here. So she was writer on 4 pretty high visibility games. And I'm going to list the user score of them. God of War Ragnarok is an 8.1 on Metacritic. Alan Wake 2 is an 8.7 on Metacritic. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is a 9.0. And
Metacritic isn't user scores though, is it? It
is both. It is Metascore, which is critics, and user score, which is just user posts. And so the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has not only a low critic score, a Metascore, but it has an awful 3.6 user score. And then I looked, and the Sweet Baby Inc. connected to this, and come last November, so this was the immediately preceding game from Suicide Squad, I think. Yes, was Alan Wake 2, and there are all of these big media pieces about Sweet Baby Inc. and Kim B writing the second protagonist of Alan Wake 2.
Okay.
And how it's DEI and all this great diversity stuff. And so I don't know. It's either Sweet Baby Inc. is about recycled please everyone content, and Sweet Baby Inc. trying to suppress research and badmouth people who are critical of their work, or it's about feminists trying to make all of our games into boring, like copy paste diversity, equity, and inclusion games, and shutting down their anti-feminist critics.
Well,
and just like Gamergate, if you get too much of that number 2, like even a solid bite of that lutefisk in my this is recycled, rehashed, boring content, I'm going to be like, oh, it's really culture war. It's just culture war stuff again. Is it actually culture war, or is it about lazy content like you were saying?
Why not both? Like, I will say this, it disturbs me. And again, I have to look more into it. Again, I'm very new to this. I'm putting that out there, but it disturbs me that the response from Sweet Baby Inc.'s employees, I should say, and just the zeitgeist in general, wasn't to engage with the list that was made, the curated list that was made about these games, and not to engage with it and to maybe challenge the conceptions that these are bad games, etc., and maybe push back that way. They tried to get the guy taken down. They tried to silence him. They
pointed
bad.
out his
Steam it looks
account.
bad. They said that they were doing that. It was harassment. That's what the word they used. That this was a form of harassment.
Yeah, they claimed it was harassment, and that's pretty shitty behavior. That's a little like that's a little bit like the anti-GG journalist kind of behavior. And I'll say,
well, just to be clear, are you saying that the shitty behavior was making a list?
No,
the
shitty behavior was trying to get the person's
to
Steam
shut him
account
down.
banned.
To shut him down. Okay, carry on.
Well,
I got you.
To shut down the critic list.
Yes.
Maybe fair. Maybe I'm probably not, because looking at it doesn't look that offensive. It's just like
it's just a list of
these
games.
are Sweet Baby Inc. Affiliated titles, and I just recommend. I hate how feminists are getting into my games. I'm a boys' club. You can't. My fortress. You can't come in.
I've seen the list, and they're not even like it's literally just a list. I haven't looked at any. I don't see any commentary on the list when I looked at it when I went to Steam. Right, it was just Sweet Baby games detected, and here's the 16 or so games that they had on the list.
Sure, but then you'll watch the Side Scrollers episode about it, and this is the impenetrable fortress. You got to keep your feminism out of our games, so you've got to say that this narrative that we're trying to keep the culture war out of video games. We're going to try to keep this pure and free and entertaining, and gooning is great, and we can have all the the chainsaw bullet boob babe whatever without
I am a fan
anyone
of chainsaws,
complaining
bullets,
about it.
boobs, and babes.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So am I.
True.
But
Who
I'm not
isn't? I
gonna
mean,
I'm not gonna say shut up if you're like a little critical of it and like maybe you can't cosplay that character when there are children around. I mean, kink at Pride. Let's talk about kink at PAX. Really, that's what started this whole thing.
Kink at
Literally.
PAX. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Was I forget her name now, but yeah, a fit girl in a super tight cheerleader costume cosplaying for hire at PAX, getting kicked out. Kink at PAX. This is like the original, one of the original figures that is like tangential to Gamergate. So yes, it is literally about kink at PAX.
Okay.
And feminist, the evil feminist.
Well,
Anyway,
tell you
so
what,
I'm ranting now. I'm ranting.
I would love to have you
Good.
on next week because I want to do a show on this. So would you
I
DM
would
me
love to.
with
I would love
times?
to get. I would love to get the maybe not me, but maybe
You
the
too.
people who. Okay, me too. I honestly want to see more Gamergate
Yeah.
critics engage with this.
I want to put in.
specifically
I want to
Sweet Baby Inc.
just to let you know my plan. Right. What I would like to do is I would like to get them in a room with someone like Dev. Right. And I'll keep Dev in line. Don't worry. Right. But I want the back and forth. Now I understand that Dev may be a little contentious figure, so I'm willing to use another figure if they would feel more comfortable with that.
I literally don't know anyone who was anti-Gamergate who was not like a complete Redditor who would honestly, who was a professional, I'm trying to say, other than me, who might engage with this.
That's why I want
We
you.
can try.
Right. That's why I want you.
We can try.
At least. Or even just normies who might have the same kind of issues you do. I'd love to get them in a room and hash this out because I think it's important. Anyway, thanks for calling in, buddy.
Yep.
Give me a list of times and things like that, and we can set it up.
Yep.
But for now, I'll see you later, buddy. Yeah, that's if PSA Sitch wants to come on my show to talk about it, I would love to have him on. I reached out to him the last week, maybe the week before, to be on something, but he couldn't make it. So I'm more than willing to have him. Anyway, are you ready for the next guest?
I am so ready because do you see who is backstage?
I do.
Heck yes.
I do. The woman of the hour, Brittany Simon. Hi.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
So good. How are you?
Good. Okay, I have a kind of philosophy question, maybe. I'm not really sure what to call it. What is one idea that you hold, Genevieve, one value you hold that you think would be universally beneficial to everybody?
Ooh. Not assuming the worst. Like
That's a
more
great
like
one.
giving someone the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. How do you know that you've gone too far in giving someone the benefit of the doubt?
When there is evidence to the contrary.
How much evidence?
That's difficult because there could be like there's different levels of like significance to evidence, I suppose, too, right? Like some could be circumstantial, some could be undeniable, I guess. So I would say a handful of circumstantial evidence or probably just like one undeniable like example of
Can you
proof that
give
could
us
be
maybe
very
a real
factual.
life example, right? If it's not too personal, but just to kind of ground this for us of a time where either you or someone you know has given the benefit of the doubt too much and it's bitten them in the ass.
So this isn't a specific example to anybody, but I guess kind of what I was thinking is maybe like in a relationship that is set up to be monogamous, and perhaps one of the members of the relationship is messaging with someone of the opposite sex or somebody that they could potentially be interested in romantically or sexually or whatever, and they say to their partner, oh, there's nothing going on, like we're just friends, right? Okay, well, my values would be at surface level, I want to believe my partner if they're telling me something. If they're telling me they're just friends with this person, that there's nothing going on, I want to not assume the worst. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are being honest with me and that I can trust them. However, if I were to have different examples of evidence that would prove otherwise, then that would change my mind. So, for example, like an indisputable example of evidence would be, I don't know, like a photo or a screenshot of a message that is explicit. Okay, well, you can't argue with that. Like, clearly, they're having inappropriate conversations based on the boundaries of our relationship. But there could be something like, oh, you hearted a picture of them in a swimsuit. Okay, well, like, yeah, they are in a swimsuit. There's a lot of skin showing, but they're also on vacation celebrating their birthday. So, like, maybe it's not sexual. Maybe you're just happy that they're having a good time and they happen to be in a swimsuit. So, I guess those are kind of the things that I would look at.
I think that could go a long way. I actually really like that one because I do think people aren't as malicious as they feel or seem. But then, of course, you don't want to be so kind as to let people like stomp all over you. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Can I ask one? I wanted your thoughts on one political thing that recently happened.
Before we do that, though, I want to ask the same question to you, Simon. Because you asked this,
yeah.
I want to turn the tables. Uno reverse.
Well, I didn't expect that. I didn't plan for that. I didn't actually plan for that. Genevieve did a really good one. Now I feel like I didn't think about
Girl,
that.
you
I guess
surprised me.
Yeah, well, you know, I guess I was wanting to ask Genevieve because I was thinking for myself, but at the same time, I didn't really come up with an answer. You know how hard it is for me to make prescriptions on people.
It's true.
But
It's true.
But yeah, but like something with kindness or thoughtfulness or a realization that people are doing what they think is right most of the time. And to take that into consideration, which I think is kind of stealing Genevieve's idea. So I'm trying to come up with a better one.
It's
but like,
okay to steal ideas.
It's okay.
If
I
they're
think
good
that
ideas.
we both have that as like a value that we hold pretty
Yeah.
important to us. So
Yeah, I just know people are complicated. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that we could all do to treat each other with a little bit more kindness.
I think so. Okay, ready for my political question?
Yes,
Look at me.
ready as I'll ever be.
Did you guys hear what happened in France about them making abortion constitutional?
Yes.
Like a constitutional right?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Oh my gosh. Yay, France. I'm so like stoked. I can't believe that. I mean, I guess I can believe that they're like that hasn't been done before, but like, wow. Way to make
First
a
country.
bold move. Yeah.
Seriously, it
I'm
was
very
funny.
impressed.
We've been obviously I'm married, and so we were always talking about like, if something happens, and with everything happening in America right now over abortion rights or like bodily agency, something that threw me was like my partner was like, "You're in Europe; it's a constitutional right. We're not heathens. Like, of course you can get an abortion here." And I was like, "Bro," he's like, "Europe is very advanced. Like America is very behind." Because I was telling him all the horror stories of like America and like abortions or ectopic pregnancies and like how people just like, they threaten the life of the mother over this like possible fetus. Like, anyways, the whole thing. It's just weird being in a place right now where even as a Catholic country, Croatia still allows abortion up to a certain amount of weeks.
That is so
Kind of interesting.
refreshing and like, wow.
Yeah.
Europe
Yeah.
is leading the way on that. Like,
Apparently,
as I feel healthcare in general is handled in a much better way in Europe, from what I hear.
It's so interesting. Yeah, my experience here has been very mind-blowing, which is beautiful. I love popping a bubble, So it's been a good experience. But anyways, that's all I had to say.
Oh, no, thanks for calling in. Thanks for letting
My
us know.
pleasure.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, look, I'm going to be real with you, gang. I don't always agree with Brittany Simon. We fought before. I don't know if you remember, right? We had a little back and forth. But I really like Brittany Simon. I do. I think that she's fun to engage with. Even when we fight, I think we have that understanding of respect. there, and we can agree to disagree and still be friends. And I think that's great. I like people like that, right? The people who won't get offended if I push back against their pushback, right? That's unfortunately really hard to find. Like,
True.
it's hard. Because when someone comes in with criticism that they feel is valid of you, right? And then you say, no, I think you're full of shit. I think that criticism's very invalid. They can feel like that I'm kind of attacking them back. But a lot of
Yeah.
times I'm not. I'm attacking their criticism. I don't think they're stupid. I think their idea is stupid, and they kind of internalize it. I like Brittany because we can do that with each other, right? She can, when I have criticisms of her, she can tell me I'm stupid, and vice versa, and we'll still be fine, right? I think that's a great kind of way to do things. But next guest. I think we got time for one more, and then we'll kind of close it out for the evening because I know you got things to do. I got things to do, so we'll just do that. Let's bring on 𝕬𝖎. Hello, you're live.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
So I got a few things, and about Gamergate, but currently to clarify some things about the whole France thing. Does anybody remember the yellow vest protests in France?
The name rings a bell, but you refresh my memory.
Okay.
Remind us, yeah.
So France has a very particular way of rioting and protesting. It's called burning shit to the ground in a wide area. And they do this by violently beating up cops in almost like a gang warfare style, where they just throw themselves at police and attack them. And that has not, and that started like 4 years ago, and that has not stopped. France is in a huge crisis right now in terms of its citizens wanting to just outright lynch their politicians. And I thought it was kind of an interesting thing that we're celebrating France's abortion move, while the country itself may not continue to exist as it does as an entity moving forward, and like how France revitalizes itself every few hundred years. So I thought that was kind of interesting that like a country that's falling apart starts to do these not political but emotional policies that they throw out there to appease some people to show that they're doing something, whereas the actual things that affect everybody in the common day are not getting addressed.
Well, I do think that abortion isn't nothing, right? It's not symbolic. This is something that does
I think
affect
that's
people in the
something that
actual.
affects
Yeah.
everybody in the everyday.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about people can't make ends meet, they're starving, not starving, but like gas prices are so high, their taxes are crushing them, and the country goes, hey, we could alleviate your suffering, but we're going to choose to do abortion legislation instead.
I think that maybe it's not an issue that has
there?
been relevant to you, so you don't see the importance or the value in it. But for a lot of people who are directly affected by it, this does alleviate a lot of suffering, and some of that maybe even financial. To your point, if people are struggling economically, being forced to carry a pregnancy full term that they don't want is going to create an even larger burden.
So here's the issue with that. Europe has a vastly stricter requirements when it comes to abortion. You can't just get an abortion because you're financially impacted by that.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's literally
That's not what I'm saying. No, that's literally not what I said. I said you're saying people in France are struggling financially,
Yes.
and that it shouldn't be a priority for people to be concerned about abortion when the economy is in shambles. And my response to that is abortion is always important, but perhaps even more so when the economy is in shambles, because it could present an additional financial burden to people if they don't have access to it.
Because children cost money, and so therefore you can't get. But Europe has requirements that say you can't really just get an abortion because it's a financial burden.
I'm not saying that's their reason for getting a financial burden. I'm saying that an additional consequence of not having access to abortion services is negative financial implications.
Yeah. So let's bring it around to the other issues that Europe is like facing a crisis with, like I think it's the Netherlands and their farmers, like boarding up like their politicians and putting up brick walls.
Are
And
you of the
all
belief
of
that
it.
because Europe has a lot of other issues, just like every other place in the world, that they shouldn't try to like start taking baby steps by solving some of them?
No, I think that Europe is going out of its way to put its food security at risk for a emotional policy that doesn't make sense.
Do you think that population control has an effect on the economy?
Yes. Look at Japan.
Do you want to elaborate?
No, not well. Yeah, I could, but I mean, if you don't understand that,
No, you give an example and then you say no, you don't want to elaborate.
Yeah, so population control, right? So people not having kids,
people not having access to preventative birth control and or abortion services leads to countless social and economic consequences that are amplified when those are addressed.
Do you think
that's one of the easiest things that can be addressed?
That
and
the
it's the most budgetarily friendly.
Hold on.
Sure. We gotta let Artemis respond to this. Go ahead.
Do you think that the issue that the humans face right now as a civilization is too many births or not enough?
I think that the issue that humans face right now across the globe is not having access to control their own healthcare and having access to services that they may desire in a safe way.
Okay. I guess I don't really know what that means because
you don't think that healthcare is important human right?
No, it's not right. You can't compel somebody to give you healthcare because if it doesn't exist, you don't get it.
In modern societies that can provide it, you think it should be denied or that it should just be like an issue that we're not concerned with?
Not an issue you're concerned with at this point in time.
You don't think that population control has an impact on society and economic issues? Did I stump you?
Oh, did your mic die? Hello? I think his mic died.
No, DoorDash came with a door and
oh, okay. I was like,
sorry, I tried to run over there while I doing. No, the issue being is that the world is coming to a point in time where we're throwing off the shackles of the rules-based government. We're obviously heading towards a era of actual open conflict, and people are still worrying about these other things that don't actually matter. And the United States population's political leanings are reflecting that some people don't get the message.
I'm glad for you, genuinely, that you have lived such a privileged life that this is an issue that doesn't matter to you. But for the majority of the population, it does.
So I grew up poor. I went into the military, learned a trade, and climbed my way up in a career. I don't know why people, a privileged individual, will come out and shut people down by claiming that they're privileged, but not having known anything about them.
I know that you're saying that abortion access doesn't matter to you. And as somebody who is saying that abortion access doesn't matter, that implies to me you haven't needed or had a partner
abortion. No, I don't.
To access these services. And most people at some point do have an unplanned pregnancy or a need to access some sort of service of this nature. And that hasn't been you, and you're very lucky. But for a lot of other people, it is.
I want to say that exercising control would lead you not to have an abortion.
That's absolutely not true. And if you want to talk about this, we can have a completely different abortion conversation. I've had several debates on this subject, and I guarantee you that you would be wrong. So we can do that.
I guarantee you that the American civilization does not think that you are correct.
Okay. Well,
the Gamergate is what I actually came on here for, not the abortion topic that always gets dragged into these things.
You brought it up, bro. No, you called in and literally brought up the conversation.
No. The France thing got dragged into the conversation that you guys are having, and I don't know why it always comes back to that.
Maybe because people like you keep bringing it up with questions. But go ahead and ask your next question.
No. So Gamergate, Wick, I sent you something, a video.
Let me look.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yep. Dev showed me this, and he
Right.
gave me timestamps, and I did see this. So yes, go ahead.
So here,
Just for the audience, if I may, this is video from 2019 GDC conference. The founder of Sweet Baby Inc., 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙, I believe her name is, goes on and talks about like what they do, what the services they offer, the importance of representation in games, right?
Or else.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the overview. But go on, please.
No. What's the method and how they push their services? That's which they cover in that video. By going to their people's HR or whatever and threatening in a, hey, you better do this or else manner to get their services utilized in the gaming company. Do you remember that being
There was
talked
a
about?
segment. Yes, there was a segment at the end. It was about just to let my audience know. It was a minute and a half segment where they talk about why it should matter to the game developers. And the Kim in the video, she makes this statement that if you still don't think that we're right, go have a coffee with your marketing team, right? And they will terrify them at their the stories, right? Like I'm paraphrasing. Please, I'll put the link in chat and you guys can go look at it yourselves. But basically, it was like spread fear in their hearts, or let them spread fear in your hearts about what will happen if you don't do this, right? What will happen to your game, etc.
Yep. What I took away from that is that the people that like her services and like what she provides. I thought that she told them to go to their marketing and their HR people and to get them to understand that the person that's not allowing them to be utilized should be afraid, and that they should be explained how the political controversy or whatever, the backlash from not using them or denying them in their game would be detrimental on their career. That's what I took away from that.
Again, I'd have to, but there was definitely kind of like I understand where you get what you're saying is about, like, it was kind of
use us or else.
Low key threatening, yeah.
Yes. And so when people ask, well, what's the big deal? Is this a feminist thing or whatever? Well, if a person whose job and whose career is around hand-fisting diversity or whatever into a game where it was not necessarily needed, or was even the focus of the game. For example, if you have like a block jumping puzzle and they're like, damn, we need to shovel fucking diversity into this or whatever, it doesn't really make sense. But this person's career is based around that, and they're telling people to go out and scare everybody into using them. And they then turn around and make games like Saints Row remake that fucking kills volition almost outright. And then we ask, well, okay, well, if you're prioritizing diversity writing and not just good stories, you're objectively not going to get the best material for the story. You're going to get diversity. You're going to get inclusion because that's your priority set. And people's escapism doesn't need real life in it. That's the whole point of the escapism, to buy a game, to go visit some other world.
Well, there are some, look, I think different games have different purposes for different people. I'm absolutely with you that there are a lot of games where I don't care about the story. I don't give a shit, right? Like Helldivers 2, I'm just going to go to kill bugs and kill robots, right? That's what I do. But there are games where I think can benefit from some kind of realistic touch to it. And I do also enjoy political games on occasion, right? The ones that make no bones about being political games, right? Like Democracy 3, etc., and these other kind of maybe less management sim games, but ones with an RPG with a story that has a political tinge to it. Absolutely. I think I'm all for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with diversity. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's
good examples of diverse character in movies.
Yeah.
That came in and just stole the role. Like, for example, Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Fury, Heimdall, and Thor, and nobody cared because they were good actors.
Well, in Thor, there are a lot of people who cared.
Not nearly. Like, again, we go back to there's always going to be crazy people, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so we can't really control the crazies on the very, very fringes of things. But when we're talking about why does Sweet Baby matter, is because they're a corrupting influence trying to force people who would otherwise have good stories or whatever that make sense, and then shoveling incoherent nonsense into it because that's what their company's designed to do.
Noted.
And yeah,
I'm more concerned. I don't look if a company wants to hire these guys, more power to them. I don't
Yeah.
care.
but that's why
what I
they're
do
making
care,
these. Go
what
ahead.
what does bother me, and why I'm actually like, okay, maybe I need to actually look more into this, and maybe this is an actual problem, is their response about trying to cancel this guy to get the content list guy made persona non grata, right?
Yep.
And cancel his account, kick him off Steam, all these things. I think that's not a healthy response to criticism at all.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's a
if
problem.
Any entity that fears more, what do you call it? Being able to see them more. I can't remember what the word is called.
Visibility?
Visibility, clarity on what they're doing, shit like that.
Transparency?
Transparency, there we go. More transparency. If you're afraid of that, that means you have something to hide. And if you're doing everything to obscure your actions in the game, that you know that your actions are corruptive in the first place.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in, Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you. And we're gonna see you later, buddy. Okay. Wow, you were getting pretty heated there, Madam Genevieve. I like that
Yeah,
energy.
that's obviously a subject that matters a lot to me, and that I have a lot of opinions about, as you know.
I
We've
do know. I
had
do
several.
remember.
You've hosted several debates on the subject, and it's the whole reason that I got into streaming in the first place. So
Excellent.
definitely.
Well, maybe I need to blast from the plastis and get you on something on female reproductive rights again. Yeah, we could. What do you think of the IFV, the in vitro fertilization stuff? Are you familiar? I think it's Alabama. I want to say it's Alabama.
I don't know. I think it's Alabama, but I'm not 100% sure which state it is. To be fair, it reminded me a bit of the conversation that I had with. Did you host that one where it was me, Destiny, Lactoid, and Allison? Is her name Allison?
No,
No,
Allie.
it's
I don't know if it's
Allie.
Allison, but it's Allie.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm terrible with
It's all
names.
good.
Allie. Yeah, it reminded me of that, and kind of brought up a lot of those same feelings where it feels really icky that we would try and discourage people if we have the ability to um safely have surrogacy and IVF and other fertility treatments, and everybody involved is consenting, et cetera, then I don't think that there's any wrong way to have a family in that regard.
I
So
understand. Well, gang, it's been a great show. I want to give Madam Genevieve here a chance to shout herself out again, tell people where they can find you. But before we do that, just a reminder, if you've enjoyed this content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, throw me some subs. All that's great. Let me know. Let me know you enjoy this kind of thing so I will do it more. And how you let me know is through money, gang. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have Brittany Simon on. We're gonna have Not So Erudite on. We're gonna be talking about Coomer culture and porn in these spaces. And then on Thursday, we're going to be having a one-on-one debate between Kevin Logan and Quibbles Over Coffee on Israel and Palestine. So tune in for that. Madam Genevieve, take it away. Give us your last words, last thoughts, and where can people find you? And gang, when she gives you her links to where you can find you, I want you to go and smash that like button, smash that follow button, smash that subscribe button. Support her too. She's great. Please take it away.
well, thank you, Wick. I appreciate that. All the smashing, I'm a fan. But thank you for having me on, Wick. I do enjoy your community and the Collins, and would love to find a subject that I'm passionate about to get another show panel happening on in the near future. As you may or may not be aware, audience members, I'm Madam Genevieve. I do IRL and online sex work, sex education, feminist causes, so on and so forth. And I do stream casually. I'm trying to stream more regularly, but real life gets in the way a little bit. But if you do follow me on Twitter, that's going to be your best bet. It's Madam_Genevieve, and that's going to have all of my links in the description there. And if you have other questions regarding, anything sexy or spicy, definitely you can send them my way. That's something I'll be doing on my stream in the future is call-ins for like sex education, sex advice, stuff of that nature. And I will look forward to talking to you all soon.
Gang, check her out. She's great. Thanks for being here, Madam Genevieve. Who are we raiding into today? Who's still streaming? I'll let you decide. You're the guest. Where are we going?
Oh, I don't know who's streaming right now. Let's see.
So
Let
I'll
me
give
look
you a
over here.
few. We got Nina. We got Admiral Gibbs from earlier. We got Rora. I don't know if you interacted with her. We have I'm Really Important. That's all I'm seeing.
Let's go for IRI.
Okay.
He's a buddy of mine,
Okay, yeah.
and let's see what he's up to. He's always bringing some good info to the people.
And it is Super Tuesday, and he's going to have the latest, okay?
Yep.
Good call. Good call. And gang,
Thank you.
remember, check us out tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Be here or be square. Spam those emotes if you got them, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.